Deep in the heart of the rugged Caucasus Mountains lies the Voronya Cave, also known as the world's deepest cave. Stretching down over 2,000 meters, this underground labyrinth is a place of extremes, a testing ground for those brave enough to venture into its depths. And in September 2018, a team of explorers faced not just the challenges of this extreme environment, but also one of the most terrifying natural occurrences in the cave's history. The story begins with a group of Russian cavers led by the experienced Pavvel Demadov. They were joined by British photographer Robbie Shonne and his assistant, Jeff Wade, who had come to capture the unique beauty of this subterranean world. Their goal was to explore and document the rarely seen wonders of the cave, including the fascinating organisms that had adapted to such a harsh environment. But the journey was far from easy. For 4 long days, the team crawled through narrow tunnels, often no wider than 30 centimeters, carrying heavy equipment and supplies. The air grew stale, the humidity oppressive, and exhaustion became their constant companion. Yet they pressed on, driven by their desire to see what lay ahead. At the deepest point of their exploration, the team set up camp. Ready to spend several days documenting the cave's wonders, they photographed the mesmerizing formations of stalactites and stalagmites and gathered valuable samples of the rare organisms that called this place home. But their tranquility was soon shattered by the sound that would change everything. The flood pulse, a sudden surge of water that echoed through the tunnels. 2 cavers who had left the camp earlier sounded the alarm. They had encountered rising water levels and warned the others to prepare. However, the team at the bottom assumed the water would pass quickly, as it had done before. But this time they were wrong. As the water surged into their camp, the team scrambled for safety. The force of the flood caught them off guard, crashing against the walls of the narrow passages. Robbie Shonne and Jeff Wade, along with another caver who had joined them from the team, quickly donned their protective suits and began the arduous ascent. The water, now waist-high, made every step a Herculean task. They fought against the current, battling to make any progress, but the water continued to rise, threatening to engulf them. Finally, they reached a relatively dry section of the cave, where they took a brief respite. Here, they waited anxiously for the waters to subside, realizing that returning to the camp was impossible. Meanwhile, back at the flooded camp, the remaining members of the Russian team were desperately trying to escape. The water was rising fast, making any movement within the cave perilous. Yet they pushed on, driven by the hope of reaching a higher, drier part of the cave. After what felt like an eternity, they too managed to find some solid ground. But the water continued to rise, trapping them in the cave's watery depths. Over the next 20 hours, the group huddled together in the upper camp, cold, exhausted, and unsure of what lay ahead. Escape seemed impossible as the floodwaters showed no signs of receding. But as the first light of dawn broke through the darkness, the water began to trickle down. Slowly but surely, the team started their ascent, hoping for the best, but bracing for the worst. The ordeal had taken a heavy toll on their bodies and minds, but they had no choice but to push on. 4 days later, they finally emerged from the cave, battered, bruised, but alive. The world outside seemed surreal after the suffocating darkness of the cave. The team had survived one of the most harrowing ordeals in the history of caving. In the aftermath, the group recounted their experiences, emphasizing the importance of teamwork, preparation, and quick thinking. The Voronya Cave had almost claimed them, but their collective efforts had brought them back to the surface. The story of these explorers is a testament to the human spirit's tenacity and adaptability in the face of the most challenging circumstances. As we marvel at their bravery, we are also reminded of the raw, untamed power of nature, and the humbling realization that there are forces more powerful than even the most audacious human endeavors. The Voronya Cave remains a place of both wonder and peril, a silent sentinel guarding its secrets deep within the earth. The story of the Russian cavers and their harrowing ordeal serves as a cautionary tale and an inspiration, a reminder that the greatest adventures often come with the greatest risks, and that the human spirit, when pushed to the edge, can achieve the seemingly impossible.